Thanks for joining another episode of Anchors Away. I am Robert Burns. Norma Holland is on the other line. She is back with us this week, and we are both, obviously, former TV news anchors who left it all behind, now have a podcast because everybody else does. Before we go on, this is going to happen in every show. Subscribe for free on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, pretty much wherever you listen. We're also on iHeartRadio now. We're on all of the platforms that you can think of. And this week, we are going to get back into what we originally started the show with, talking and giving you the behind-the-scene details of the news industry. What you see isn't always what you get. There's always another reason for it. And with that being said, you hear her humming in the background. Ladies and gentlemen, Mrs. Norma Holland.
Oh, Robert, it is so good to be back with you again, friend. I look forward to these recordings because we catch up with each other and we catch up on what's going on in our lives. And the one thing I keep seeing on my Twitter feed, because I spend a lot of time on Twitter, and lately in the last couple of weeks or few weeks, more than just a little bit of time on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
People,
You've been a little more active too.
Yes. People are crazy about football. It's like as soon as that weather got crisper, a little cooler at night, everyone started talking about football and how much they miss it.
And it's something that I think we didn't think we were going to have a few months ago. We didn't think we were going to have any sports whatsoever. And now baseball is almost into their postseason. Basketball, it's very late for their NBA finals. Hockey is still playing for the Stanley Cup. And now we have the NFL kicking off. And by the way, this is also the first time in history, because I used to be a sports anchor before I was a regular news anchor. This is the first time in history we will have the NBA finals being played at the same time as the NFL regular season. That is because the NBA finals is normally over by June. Wow. NFL football doesn't start until September. So this might be the first and only time we have all four sports, three of which playing for championships and one of which starting its season at the same time. We didn't think we were going to have it, and now we do. And that is why there's probably so much pent-up excitement regardless of who your team is. For the NFL season, everyone starts the year undefeated. Until now, we've got some losses. But a week ago, we all had a shot.
Everyone's so excited because, we live in Bills country, okay? Western New York pretty much is all Bills country all the time. And they won, right? And so they won their first game? Mm-hmm. Their season opener. And
they beat the Jets.
So exciting.
Which, let's be honest, they should have.
They beat the Jets. And look, it was just exciting, right? But, so getting back to what you alluded to about behind the scenes, what you don't know is that television is a business. And it's a business that is largely ruled by what are known as ratings, okay? And that's a very important measure of how many people are watching you, who is watching you, when they're watching you, which then translates into how much you can charge your advertisers, right?
Which is where all the money goes and comes
exactly.
from, rather, in a television station.
Exactly. So it was of great interest to both Robert and myself when we saw this interesting article about the NFL ratings. I'm surprised at this story, honestly.
See, I'm not, and I'm gonna take that side of this when you look at it. And the headline here, for anyone out there wondering how the NFL's first week went on television, a lot of us probably watched it. I pay for the Sunday ticket, so I'm part of these ratings and how they measure this. But the ratings are down for the NFL. They were down for most of the games. The majority of the NFL's Week 1 season were down, except for one game. And this is, notwithstanding the Monday Night Football game. We record these on Mondays. The Steelers and Giants are playing right now, so we don't know who's watching that. However, going through Sunday night, the initial ratings for the NFL's first week of the season was down, except for the one main game on Fox that they broadcast national. It was the Tampa Bay Bucks and the New Orleans Saints. Reason being, Tom Brady switched teams over the
That's
offseason.
right.
Everybody knows the name, whether you don't know the
Uh,
game. Tom Brady switched teams. He moved to Tampa. Well, they are playing one of the top dogs in the NFC. They're also division rivals, and one of the best teams in the country, the New Orleans Saints, and Drew Brees, another Hall of Fame quarterback. So that was very matchup based. A lot of the other games, not really matchup based. You know, when you look at who was playing, unless you're a fan of that league or a fan of that team, rather, you're probably not going to watch some of those matchups. You're probably not going to care about, who the Denver Broncos played. You're probably not going to care about Indianapolis and Jacksonville. I didn't want to watch that game. Nobody else did either outside of those two major markets. So that's why the numbers were down. And Norma, I'll give you a second to kind of run through some of these numbers and what they mean. But I think that it's not so much people kind of protesting or saying, stick it to the NFL. I think it's going towards the matchups and some of the games and looking at the quality of the product. I could be wrong, but that's my take on it. And I got to. I'm not the only one out there, but I'm also probably not in the majority.
I think that you have perhaps some dissatisfaction though on the part, a lack of a season overall can, I think, really just, put the nail in the coffin for folks. There's just not that excitement. No one's going to the games, I mean, for baseball, there were cardboard cutouts, of people. It's just not exciting to watch. Part of what made watching football so exciting was the energy, and the teams derive that energy from the crowd. So not even having that, I think people just wonder, well, what does it even matter, right? I mean, are they going to have a Super Bowl even if, you get two teams come out on top? Who knows? I mean, will it mean more or less? It could be that there are some people who are sick of politics, because look at football went there, okay, and it kind of traipsed into the political world, and people are, kind of maybe fed up with some of that. Who knows? But
It
the
kind of
ratings
started
don't
all
lie.
of this social injustice awareness 4 or 5 years ago.
That's true. I mean, they've been involved. This has been something that, football has been connected to for better or for worse for years. But I don't know. I just wonder if people are just sort of just jaded in general. It's like, what does it even matter?
Very well could be, but
The governor wants to cancel Halloween. Like, come on. What's the point? Why are we even here?
I did see a funny meme about Halloween. Side note, which is what we do in this show, where it was a tube going on an angle down into a basket for candy because it was social distance Halloween trick-or-treating. So, the homeowner puts it in the tube, slides down there, goes in the basket, kid takes it, goes along to the next house. Somebody
Like going
else's
to the
problem
bank,
at that point.
Yeah.
It's exactly like the little chute.
Slide the tube, yeah, the chute.
That's what
I
it
tell
is.
you what, and I'm totally taking a total detour here. I'm going to probably just put candy in a bowl and just, have it be the honor
Call it
system.
a day.
Parents, mind your kids. We're gonna put candy in a bowl. Maybe put a little hand sanitizer next to the bowl. Watch, I can walk out
Don't
and that
put
thing's
them
stolen.
in the bowl like they're the candy. Don't be that person to give out hand sanitizer instead of a Snickers. I don't want
You
that.
know.
You will get egged.
Somebody is gonna do that as we speak. I know somebody's thinking, oh, I'm gonna hand out handy wipes.
100%. It's
Anyway.
going to happen.
So yeah.
Anyway,
Back to
talking about
football.
ratings, and so what people also don't realize about it is there are obviously points in the year when stations look at ratings,
Yeah.
when television looks at ratings. And I'm not going to say that, the news stories are based on ratings all the time. I'm not going to say it sometimes, yes. Sometimes a story would make more sense during this ratings period in a week or two than it would right now. Those aren't very timely stories. Those are what we call evergreen stories. That's probably when you're going to do those. But there are 4 main blackout months that we in the news industry can't take off. No vacations, no requests. If you're sick, you are judged hard
Yeah.
throughout
You
the
better show up
newsroom.
to work.
You
Don't
better
be taking a
show up
vacation.
or have some sort of surgery planned.
Don't have a baby neither.
It's February. It's
yes.
May.
Oh,
Was it July? This is the one that nobody cares about really in the summer.
July is sort of the
It's the
and then
July
November.
month, and then November's the big one. So those are the 4 months we cannot take off. You will see full staffed television news on whatever station, national, local, whatever it is. And then they'll look at the ratings and they'll look at the numbers and they'll see how the evening news did, how the morning news did, how
Yes.
the afternoon show did. And that's when a couple of weeks after those months, you'll start to see promos like, we're the number one
Yeah.
afternoon show in East Biloxi. That's what you're going to get.
And that's how they get those ratings or that data, okay? Because it's data, being the digital marketing person. I love that data drives all, okay? Data drives all decisions. But yeah, and that's really how they come up with that. So,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's and the method by which stations collect this data has changed. It used to be the Nielsen ratings, which you often hear about
Mm-hmm.
Nielsen. It
Mm-hmm.
used to be that you would fill out a little diary, a little book, right? And they would pay you $1 or $5 or whatever they would pay you to do it. And I recall a family member was a Nielsen ratings viewer, and would write down in this little book what they watched and when. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's sometimes now that in some states, some markets, uh, the TV sets are connected to companies can derive that data just from the televisions
Mm-hmm.
themselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, or they, and sometimes there's daily ratings. You can find out how a station's doing. I think even hourly, right? How a station's doing hourly, daily.
When I was working for the station in San Diego, they would, after the evening shows, after the 6 o'clock show, for example, I remember seeing my producer and our assistant news director in an office, and they were going over the minute by minutes.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was told that as soon as I said a word, I forget what the word was, but there was one word that I said during my report, you could see the ratings go down. And it wasn't anything like it was. It was a one-time thing. It wasn't. I said the word. These instead of those. Whatever it was. It was something that simple where they could see the ratings went down, and he used that as an example to me of what the minutes by minute were to see how people are watching. And so they'll watch them very closely. Honestly, I hate ratings. I hate
Ugh,
thinking about
nobody likes
ratings.
them.
I hate dealing with it. And like I mentioned, I've had stories that I've pitched that were, "Hey, we're going to do this for November sweeps because that's a better story for November." When it really matters.
And that's, I will say that some stations have done away with some of that 4 times a year thinking,
Mhm.
okay, that every month is sweeps month, right? Which isn't true because you couldn't take off time during those months.
Right.
Okay, so never mind. But I kind of liked that whole like the sweeps not being the focus so much. Just, it's always a good idea to tell great stories. We should always be telling good and compelling stories and always be teasing what we do and then, taking credit for our wins.
Hmm.
But yeah, there was. Oh, and then I remember the days, and you don't remember this. I don't know if you ever did this, but if you had a story that you were working on for ratings, it would be called a series,
Hmm.
and it would be
Yep.
four, maybe five, could be six pieces
Yep.
that you would run on one topic, and it would run the whole week, right? And I mean, it was teasable content, that the producers were teasing in every show.
And
You
there
know,
are there are going to
Started
be
doing away with the
places.
series though. It
Yeah,
would be
there
one
are going to
shot
be
wonders, one
places
hit wonders.
though. In with what is that? What is in the next 6 weeks? You'll start to see those promos
Yep.
for those series for our two-part investigation, for our inside look, and for all those different types of hyped up stories. And they're fine stories. They're just obviously they're promoted more because they want you to watch during that period in time so they can say we beat Channel Two's butt across the street. That's
Yeah,
all it
that's all.
really is. Not gonna lie.
It's hard for me. It's hard for me to watch that stuff now. Can you watch that stuff?
I can't watch any. I don't watch the local news. I can't do it because I judge so hard, and we have talked about
It's
this
tough.
on previous episodes. I am the worst person to watch the news with because I will break it down, and if it's actually good, I will lose interest. I watch local news now like it's like some women watch trash TV. I want to see the train wreck. I want to make
You are
fun of
awful.
everything and
You are
everyone.
so. Yeah,
I
don't
want
watch
the
the news.
spellings. I want the
Oh, you're
misspellings. I
you're
want the I lost. I want people to mess up the way I messed up so I can be on the
ugh,
other end this time. And that's how it works. Shall we move on
you're
to part
awful.
two? I know I'm awful. Shall we move on to
You're
part
awful.
two of our show? All right, we do want to thank our sponsor for this show, Anchor. It's the easiest way for us to bring you the podcast. They give us everything we need, it's all in one place, and most importantly, it's all free. Everything on our iPhones, on our iPads, on our computers, all the creation tools to edit, it's all included, and they distribute the show for us. Send it to Spotify, send it to Apple, send it to Google. So, you can start your own podcast, get in on the game, download the Anchor app, or go to anchor.fm to get started. I haven't read an actual book in a very long time.
Ooh.
I want a very long time. The last actual book I have read was probably a year or so ago, but that's because I have now transitioned over to audiobooks. However, Norma, with the kids, some of the old is still some of the new.
Let me tell you. So, this is the first week of school for at least my child. Many kids started last week. But parents, are you with me? Did you check your child's bring home folder, take home folder, or their book bags? Did you get the Scholastic Book Club order forms in the mail?
So excited about this right now.
I don't
need to
even
know
know
what's
what to
on
do with
here.
myself.
I need to know are there goosebumps? Because when I was growing up, obviously the books are a little bit different, but I think some of the characters are the same. If R.L. Stein is not on the front of that darn order form, we've got some issues and a complaint that needs to be filed. There are some grievances that will be aired.
This is so fun. You've got the classics, the Berenstain Bears, Clifford the Big Red Dog. You've got Llama Llama Red Pajama, Rainbow Fish, Pout Pout Fish. I mean, some of these are the classics, right? But my daughter's very young, so this is appropriate for her age level. You've got this lot of books now are more culturally aware, right? So you've got books all about with Black characters and Hispanic characters. There's the Peppa Pig. There's the Pigeon. The Pigeon is really popular right now. If you've got kids, the Pigeon is this sort of crass, smart alecky pigeon. You'd get along with him great, Rob. And, the pigeon has to go to school is the title. And the pigeon, there's a whole series of books on the pigeon. Um, the Creepy Carrots, Pete the Cat. I'm a fan of Pete the Cat.
I love how you're
Cat is
reading
one
off,
cool
you're
cat.
rambling off this list, and you are all about every one of these books, like you are still reading them for the first time.
I love them. You know what? We read every night to our daughters. So, it gets old. These books I've been reading, 10, 12 times, and if I have to read Curious George Goes Camping one more freaking time, I'm going to lose it.
You know what I really loved, and
Give me something
I'll
new.
more than happy to admit this. I loved this one series of book, but I refused to pay for it or use any sort of fundraising that I could. I would never pay for a Where's Waldo book, but if I saw one, I monopolized the hell out of those pages.
Were you good? Were you a good library card user? Were you
Well,
at the library a
we
lot?
still had the card catalog back then, so I tried to avoid the library as much as possible. Having to put the
Yeah.
books back and having to find which it was such a pain. But I liked picture books. Let's leave it at that.
He's a simple mind.
I am
I
a
will say,
simple person.
we went to the library the other day, and it's the first time during COVID we've gone. 36 books we took out. 36 books. I had two huge grocery bags filled with books.
I
That's
don't
how
think
much we read.
I don't think a lot of people take advantage of the local or the public libraries or the school libraries for that matter, because there
They're
is
gold
one right
mines.
around from where we live now. I've never gone in there. I can't remember the last time I was in a library, to be honest with you. And I have a friend of mine. She's a wonderful person. Used to be in news as well. Now she's out and she does PR. But she reads a book a week, and
Yeah.
she is always promoting and showing pictures on Instagram of the book she's reading. And you can see the little red tag that
Yeah.
says, library Miami-Dade or wherever the heck she is now. And it'll say public library on there, but you'll see the titles. And part of the reason is for what I'm looking for, I still have the stigma in my head that everything at the library is old. They don't have any of the new titles that I'm looking for. And I'm a newer is better. Apple's going to release a bunch of stuff this week. I'm probably going to buy it. Why? Because it's new and I can trade
Yeah.
in my old stuff. And that's how I am. If there's a new book out there that I want, I have this feeling the library's probably not going to have it.
Old and dusty. That's what you had the image of.
Mm-hmm.
I used to go downtown Rochester to the Rundell Public Library, and was in this big old building with marble and, tons of steps on the front. And, you'd go in there and you had the card catalog. There was this mildewy, moldy, musty smell that was actually pretty comforting to me as a kid, because I knew that I was in a place of learning and there were all kinds of books, very old books, right? Now, when you go into the library, it's almost like going into a Starbucks minus the coffee,
Mm-hmm.
and they have a
Mm-hmm.
cafe in there,
They
you
do.
know?
Hey,
I
by the
mean, you
way,
go in there, everything's new.
what was the name of that library?
The Rundell Public Library.
That makes me think of one particular band.
Oh. This is my favorite Christmas song, by the way. The Rundell Library.
This has such a library vibe to it, doesn't it? It's very library.
Very librarian-ish. I love this song.
When I seen a man chilling with his dog in the park, I approached him very slowly with my heart full of fear. Looked at his dog, oh my God, a
ill reindeer.
Gotta get that ill reindeer life.
Oh man, I still love that song. That song takes me back to being a kid. Because I remember when that song first came out and I was a kid, okay? And like that was the coolest song, and you go to school and you tell your friends about it and they'd all be singing it. It's just,
That's going to
Run
get played a lot
DMC is
more
awesome.
on this show as we get closer to Christmas, because that is Christmas music. As the limo driver in Die Hard said, this is Christmas music.
It's so true. Wait, honestly, my father today told me, okay, he goes, let's just buy a Christmas tree and call it a year. He goes, I'm so done with this year.
Just move
Finished.
along. Just get it. There's a big fake one in my basement. It might go up a little early just to get that thing moving, get the train running, get us through this period. I'm excited though about the book fair. The other thing you have to let me know is, when do the chocolate candy bar sale forms come in? That I need
Okay.
to know, because I will give you $20 for those almond candy bars.
For real? Oh, Lord.
Your kids are gonna have a good head start.
Look at you.
I know. I'm so.
You're all for the
generous.
kids.
It's all for the kids. That's
All
me.
for the kids.
It's all for the
Uncle
kids.
Robert.
Yeah, I'm gonna be the guy with a bunch of candy sitting here just yelling, "Get off my lawn!" With that being said,
The tradition of Festivus begins with the airing of grievances. I got a lot of problems with you people. Now, you're gonna hear about it.
that's gonna be me with my candy bars, just sitting there yelling about nonsense too, in a rocking chair, calling it a
Hand me
day.
them. Hand me them candy bars, kids.
Give me those almond bars. Get over here. Get it. Now get away from me. Now get away from me.
Do you
Go
like
play.
the almond joys?
Oh, I will eat the hell out of some almond joys.
Are
I
you
was
for
offered.
real? Me
I was
too.
offered almond joys and Kit Kats earlier today, and I had supreme willpower saying no. While I was at work, I said no because I'm trying to lose some of the COVID weight. I've lost a whole 3 pounds. I keep going up and down with this damn 3 pounds, but I had to say no to an almond joy.
Almond Joy is my favorite.
And I would love to eat an almond joy. However, I also saw this meme today that said I would rather eat a whole bus tire than write a cover letter for a job. And damn it, if that isn't the truth. And the literal worst is when you're applying for jobs, not saying that I am, but when you're applying for jobs and you see cover letter required. I skipped over some while I was doing a search. I'm not going to lie. Not
Okay.
going to do it.
What's
Too
the
much
point?
pressure.
I guess I don't understand the point of a cover letter. Like, isn't it sort of like a rehash of what's in the resume?
In theory, I would imagine. What are you supposed to say? I never understood how you write a cover letter or how you say a cover letter without coming off too preachy and high on myself and hey, look at me type thing. As people don't know, I'm putting my hands in the air and doing this
He's
whole
like,
body shake thing.
Hands by either side of his face and making that face.
I would
I
love
guess I
to
just
work
don't
for
know.
your
Like, what do you
company
put in it?
making widgets and rubber bands. I think I would be an exemplary. And you're always using big words that you don't really know the definition to, and they can tell if they put it in Grammarly you're full of shit.
Well, hold on. Then this is why data, and it ain't data, it's data. Data matters. I'll never forget I saw a resume one time. And this person correlated their presence, their very existence, with a percentage increase in widgets made, whatever, okay? Whatever have you. The point is, this person was like, yeah, I arrived and we did this much percentage better, right? Or I was able to improve something by X percentage points or whatever. And I thought, damn, that's brilliant. No, I'm serious. It was cool. I was like, oh, okay, you know.
Okay.
I mean, I just don't know how many people have jobs that they can say that. Like when I arrived, and it didn't sound preachy. It was like, yeah, when I took over, we were doing this, and then when I got hired, we were doing that. And I was like, oh, okay, well, damn, okay,
That's cool.
maybe I want to work with this person.
That's great. I will tell you that I can't recall ever writing a cover letter I was proud about. And I did look up a couple of things here, an article on cover letters, and gives you 3 points. As much as I hate them, here are 3 points for cover letters. If you're a job seeker out there, this is something you can take away from this episode. 1 point, cover letters are not dead just yet. The idea that they are dead, it's not real. You know, there's some places that still want you to write one for them. However, it is true that most corporate recruiters, they don't care about cover letters. You know why? Because your resume goes through an analytical system in a computer, and they look for keywords, and they're looking for certain phrases and keywords that they are looking specifically with that job description. So your cover letter might not even make it there. Your resume will get there, and if you get to the next step, then it might make a difference. However, there is one piece of your life that is probably more important than writing a cover letter, and that is your social media.
Oh,
Your social media is now the new cover letter. People will look you up. I have looked up people as I am hiring them or looking to hire them to see what the hell they're saying, what the hell they're doing. Show me what your pages look like. What are you passionate about? I will look people up, and that I think a lot of companies are also doing as well. So that's why the cover letter to me is nonsense.
it's really dumb. You can just Google someone today. And, you know, in this day and age, you Google. If you go to my Twitter account, you're going to see that I'm a little freakishly obsessed with some Little House on the Prairie. And today I tweeted something about Peter Dinklage and his appearance on Saturday Night Live where he's saying about space pants. Look, it really runs the gamut, okay? I'm just sort of random, and that's just kind of how I am.
But you know what? I would hire you because I'd look at it and I would see you haven't done anything stupid, or at least it doesn't show you've done anything stupid on there. As long as your social media is clean, I get a sense of who you are.
Yeah,
I get more of a sense of who you are by looking at
that's true.
your pictures or your posts or what you're sharing than I do at a cover letter and seeing that, 20% increase of sales happened while you were at a job that you were at for about 8 months. How do I know you were a part of that? I
Yeah.
don't. You're
Well,
just
it's-
bragging and
yeah.
making up stuff.
Look at you. You know, and we had a conversation before we actually started recording, and I said to him, "You're such a realist. I mean, if you want the cold, unvarnished truth, Robert Burns is yo man."
I am life personified.
You
Life is
are.
real. And real
It's real.
is really what you got. And I don't really
Sometimes
have a
you're going to
closing
eat
phrase.
a doo-doo sandwich, and you're just going to have to take it and
you
choke
are.
it down.
And other times you'll get a little A1 steak sauce. Help it go down. Or some hot sauce.
It's a
some
little
Frank's.
filet mignon sandwich.
I
But,
do
you know,
love
some
a
days you're
good-
going to eat doo-doo sandwich. It's going to be okay. We all going to eat a doo-doo sandwich at one point in life. I'm just saying. I'm being real like you. Keeping it real with Rob.
I have no comeback for sometimes you're going to eat a doo-doo sandwich. So leave us a review. Leave us a rating on whatever platform you're listening to us on. If you like the show, it really helps us reach out more people. We'll see you next week.
Bye. Doo-doo sandwich.